Hello everyone, my name is Seongeun Park. I'm a PhD student in Seoul National University. It is my honor to introduce our research to you. Our research is about how to apply activity recognition of construction workers to real construction site. The title is Human Independent Activity Recognition of Construction Workers. Thank you. Presentation will take place in the following order. Construction workers' behavior has always been important because it directly impact safety and productivity. Recent advances in technology have made it possible to automatically detect the behavior of construction workers. Among them, IMU sensors are attracting attention for their advantage of small, cheap, and accurate to no blind spot and individual monitoring. There was one limitation to activity recognition using sensors. This is the domain shift problem that occurs when the trained domain and target domain are different. In this study, our domain is human. In particular, the human domain shift problem occurs because their construction workers have different age, skills, habit, and body types. To tackle these issues, human independent activity recognition research has recently been conducted in other fields. However, this model is designed for activities for daily life activities due to daily life activity may not work effectively when applied to in construction activity due to the inherent differences in movement characteristic and deformation. For example, construction tasks often involve specific and small-scale movement compared to the broader activities of daily life. If the domain is different, like in the picture you're showing, our goal is to train the model to be really good at telling classes apart, but not so good at telling domain apart. In this picture, you can see a cluster at the bottom with the z-axis removed. Here, with the model, can't really see the differences between domains, but it can clearly see the difference between classes. This idea is the main building block of our study. Many studies have tried to counter the limitations of supervised learning in activity recognition by using image-based unsupervised domain adaptation models. However, this often overlook the unique characteristics of time series data. Time series data has time-varying features, making classes difference more significant than domain differences. Therefore, domain adaptation for time series data should be studied separately. Recent models, such as Odin, have shown promise. We decided to base our construction activity models on Odin due to its lightweight design and effective performance. But our models differed significantly from it. We added variational layer for use variational autoencoder instead of vanilla autoencoder. VAEs produce probability distributions which can help prevent overfitting and allow for more flexibility. As shown in the figure on the left, the vanilla autoencoder produce errors when data points come in that don't belong into the cluster. However, since the variational autoencoder has fuzzy boundaries and probability values, it can make fuzzy but plausible predictions. This helps classification in domain shift. Here's the structure of proposed model. Unlike Odin, these models include acceleration and angular velocity data from 3 sensors, and we use VAEs in encoding process. We tested our model using VTT dataset, a public dataset that focuses on workers' activity recognition in construction. In this dataset, 12 people wore IMU sensors at 3 locations and repeated 6 construction behaviors for 2 or 3 minutes each. This dataset includes 6 classes of safety-related behavior commonly seen in construction work. Each class contains 2 or 3 activities that are shown in the slide. Next, I will describe the process of data pre-processing. First, collect the acceleration and angular velocity data from the 3 sensors by x and y and z axis. Second, we remove data that moves more than 10 times per second as outliers. Next, we normalize each features to prevent overfitting to a particular features. Then we segment at 2-second intervals to preserve the time dependence on the time series data. The last step, which is specific to CNN LSTM model, is to convert the IMU data to image data using the Gramian angular field algorithm. To verify the performance of our proposed model, we reproduce the CNN LSTM and ODIN models as benchmark models. In addition, we divided the data as above for experiments under the same condition. This is the result of our study. Our model was about 13% more accurate than ODIN when the domain was changed, which proves the effectiveness of variational autoencoder for construction worker activity recognition. In comparison to latest models, our model achieved higher accuracy even for construction activities, which are generally harder to distinguish than daily activities. To visualize the long trained representation of the 3 models, TSNE projection was utilized. Each data point in a TSNE plot is a representation of the latent vector in which the data is encoded. Each activity class is color-coded, as shown in the figures. Figures in the slide display the CNN LSTM representation. When the domain was same, that means the training and test individuals were the same. Representation was well clustered with the same classes and the boundaries between clusters are clear. However, when the domain were shifted, you can see in third figures, the representation was less organized. As seen in the better class clusters in ODIN figure, the ODIN model shows the clear improvement in terms of class clustering compared to the first one. But in ODIN figure, clusters are closely grouped with the same color. However, some data points are included in completely different clusters. You can see that blue color clusters are similar, clustered in green and gray cluster. That is some color data points shown in the blue in the ODIN figure. It's clustered in green or gray clusters. These data points were classified as the class of the cluster they were included in, rather than their actual class. In addition, the ODIN model for construction workers' activity recognition had lower accuracy for construction worker activity recognition than ODIN's daily life human activity recognition accuracy, even though it used not only acceleration but also angular velocity data. And the proposed model showed improved representation compared to the ODIN in construction worker activity recognition, as shown in the last figure. Unlike the clusters in second figure, The cluster in last one is more spread out, and the size of the clusters is also large. This means that the decision boundaries can be learned correctly even if some data points are close to other clusters. And the proposed model outperformed the audit model in learning features for construction worker activity recognition. This is conclusion. The proposed model achieved a higher accuracy when human domain shift, outperforming the conventional CNN LSTM model about 41%. Our model outperformed two benchmarks and successfully classified construction behavior, highlighting the potential of variational autoencoder in domain adaptation in construction worker activity recognition. Our research addressed the problem of accuracy degradation and can occur when training and application differ in construction site. And our study used 3 sensors, which could impact tasks on real construction site. It's often tricky to place sensors, especially when carrying load or using specific gear. So we aim to test our model with fewer sensors, refine it for construction activity recognition amidst changing context. And our larger aspiration is to integrate our data generation and adaptation models. We believe adapting generalized generated data could be a promising solution for data spatially, thereby boosting model accuracy. We will shedding more light on this in our thesis in 3 session on the very next day. Thank you all for your time and consideration.